Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth.
Today's game is Metal Wolf Chaos XD. America needs to be saved, and the president's the one that's got to do it. Is this re-release of an OG Xbox cult classic worth revisiting? Let's find out. Metal Wolf Chaos XD is what I've described as a fusion of EDF, Dynasty Warriors, and Armored Core that was then raised on a diet of Big Macs and freedom, and it was made by From Software of all people. You play as the 47th President of the United States, Michael Wilson, whose Vice President Richard Hawke leads a full-scale coup against him because of inflation or something. Since Richard has taken the nation over from sea to shining sea, Michael has only one solution: get in the EVA and become Metal Wolf to liberate America by himself. The story is easily the highlight here, with it being just some over-the-top camp, and they even kept the game's original English dub, which was meant only for Japanese audiences, meaning the delivery is just something else. The game also tries to have missions in what I imagine a foreigner thinks are the most important places in the US, which is to say landmarks, leading to scenarios like liberating the Grand Canyon or saving the Statue of Liberty from a giant tank. The game is structured in a handful of usually short missions across the United States, which range from simply destroying a set number of structures, fighting a boss, or, well, that's really it. Just some have timers or a few minor wrinkles. Within each mission are hostages to save and energy cores to collect, both of which help contribute to permanent upgrades, and finishing missions grants both money and rare metals, which can be spent researching new gear. As a true believer of the Second Amendment, President Michael can equip up to 10 weapons at a time, 5 in each hand, and swap between them on the fly. There's a whole EDF-style roster here of bullet, heavy, and energy weapons, all with a laundry list of stat variables, though a combo of machine guns and bazookas can clear most of the game. Combat itself is very third-person shooter of the era, again similar to something like EDF or a more basic armored core. You have your kit to swap between, all of which has limited ammo, and can also jump or boost dash for some speed or air mobility. Destroying buildings or high-level enemies often drops health power-ups or more money, which you'll definitely need as missions get harder. The game itself is fairly short, though it highly encourages replays for more cash and finding the tons of POWs to save and energy cores for upgrades, as well as shooting for that S rank. And really, that's Metal Wolf Chaos, a third-person mech game originally released on the Xbox, back now with some pretty graphics and finally in the West. So what did I like about Metal Wolf Chaos XD? Well, the story is clearly the highlight here, with the heroic tale of the President of the United States injecting freedom via lead and missiles across his beloved country, absolutely hilarious, and paired with some genuinely comedic cutscenes. Additionally, the visceral nature and destruction are very satisfying in that AA game kind of way, with tons of weapons to try out across the US, and everything just blows up when you shoot it. And lastly, the game looks surprisingly fantastic for an early Xbox game, with a whole diversity of different environments and stages, and it constantly ramping up with new enemies and scenarios until the very end. When it comes to the bad, the lack of any meaningful modern upgrades to this port can be really frustrating, the biggest being no in-mission checkpoints. There are many instant death traps in later missions, and should you say get knocked off a cliff after a 15-minute excursion, you just get to start all the way over with nothing, which sucks. On that same note, the game is a bit of a grind early on, as you start with an extremely weak kit that isn't well suited for tackling any missions, so having to replay early missions several times for cash and upgrades ends up being a tedious necessity. And lastly, while it is a lot of explodey fun, it doesn't particularly evolve, with combat and mission structure fairly basic throughout, and almost all of the game's bosses are frankly either too easy or overly tedious. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale: must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And Metal Wolf Chaos XD is an absolutely hilarious Japanese take on the American dream, with plenty of B-movie over-the-top laughs and some thoroughly decent gameplay to back it up. While this gameplay should have done more to modernize its stated systems, and the loop definitely gets a bit repetitive, if you love insanely goofy dopamine-fueled destruction simulators, and if you're American, you absolutely should love them, then Metal Wolf Chaos XD is absolutely worth getting. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played or heard of Metal Wolf Chaos, there's a great Donkey video on it if you want more goofiness. And then go out there, and if you're a true red-blooded American, you definitely should give this game a look.